So in this video we're going to be looking at surds, and surds are basically just a non-negative number written as the square root of some value. And we know that the square, so for argument's sake, if we had the square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 2, well, actually you might not know this, but the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 will actually just give you the number 2. So this is what you need to know about surds. So if the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 3, that's going to give you 3. For argument's sake, square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of 4, well, what's the square root of 4? It's 2. Square root of 4 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. You can check with your calculator, but the square root of something times the square root of the same number will give you the original number a. Now, basically, the square root of one surd multiplied by the square root of another surd will actually give you the square root of a multiplied by b. So the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, well, that's the first one we just did. That's just going to give you 5. And the square root of 2 times the square root of 3, well, that's going to give you the square root of 2 times 3, which is 2 times 3 is 6. And likewise, when dividing surds, so if you have the square root of a surd divided by the square root of another surd, that's simply going to be equal to the square root of a divided by b. So 18 divided by 6 is 3, so that'll be the square root of 3. And there's surds. That's simplifying surds, which you need to be able to do for the test. It'll probably be in the non-calculator section. Now, this here, we want to write the square root of 24 in the form a square root b. So, surds can be broken up. So, square root of 24, we can actually break it up. We can do the reverse. So, 24 has different factors. What are some numbers that multiply to give you 24? 2 and 12? Yep. 3 and 8? Yep. 4 and 6? Yep. Now, what we're doing in this question is we're writing it in the form a square root b. So some number times by the square root of something else. These are all square roots, sorry. Now, these are all our possible options. So, do any of these numbers square root nicely? 2 doesn't, 12 doesn't, 3 doesn't, 8 doesn't square root nicely. 4 does. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we can simplify this and write it in the form a square root b. So the square root of 4 will be 2. And then square root b will be square root 6. And we can't simplify it any further. So we've written square root of 24 in the form a square root b, where a and b are positive whole numbers, integers, and a is as large as possible. So have a go at questions 1 and 2 every second. Let me know if you have any issues. Cheers.